The survey vessel Luminous Dawn floated silently through the darkness of space, far from any known civilization. Science Officer Vextar stared at his display screen with all four of his crystalline eyes. His job was simple: find asteroids rich in minerals. What he found instead would change the galaxy forever. "There is something strange here," said his assistant Mora, her long fingers dancing across the control panel. "The third planet in this system. The readings make no sense." Vextar moved closer to examine the data. His heart began beating faster. The planet below had oxygen levels that should cause everything to burn. Massive storms raged across its surface with enough power to destroy their ship. The temperature swung wildly from freezing cold to burning heat within a single day. "This is a death world," Vextar whispered. "Nothing should be able to live there." But the sensors showed something impossible. Life signatures covered the entire planet. Thousands of species, millions of organisms, all thriving in conditions that would kill any civilized being within hours. "Send down a probe," Vextar ordered, his voice shaking slightly. The small probe fought through violent wind and lightning storms. Its cameras captured images that made Vextar's blood run cold. Enormous creatures with massive teeth hunted in the oceans. Land predators with claws like knives chased their prey across open plains. Flying animals dove from the sky at speeds that seemed impossible. Every creature on this world was designed to kill or avoid being killed. Then Mora gasped. "Look at this." The probe had found structures. Not natural formations but buildings. Roads connected them in organized patterns. Fields grew food in neat rows. And moving among these structures were beings unlike anything in the galactic databases. They walked on two legs. They had two arms ending in 5 flexible fingers. Their eyes faced forward like predators, not to the sides like prey. Their bodies were covered in thin skin with barely any protective covering. "Sentient beings," Vextar said slowly, "living on a Class 12 death world. This should not be possible." For days they watched. The probe's cameras followed one of the males, a being they later learned was named Miho. He worked in fields under a sun that would give most species radiation burns. He lifted heavy objects that would strain Vextar's entire crew. When the sky opened and poured freezing water, Miho simply covered his head and continued working. These beings, these humans, seemed built for suffering. But that was not the strangest part. In the evening, Vextar watched Miho return to his dwelling. A female named Hyri greeted him warmly. 2 small humans ran to embrace him. And beside them, lying peacefully on the floor, was a creature that made Vextar's skin turn pale. It was a predator. Sharp teeth, powerful jaws, strong muscles built for hunting. The genetic markers clearly showed it descended from pack hunters that once terrorized prey animals. And the humans were petting it. The creature's tail wagged with joy. They tamed a predator, Mora breathed. They brought it into their home. With their young. Vextar continued watching, documenting everything. Humans ate plants that contained burning chemicals and seemed to enjoy the pain. They ran long distances for no reason except to make their bodies stronger. They fought each other in organized combat, then helped each other up afterward. Most shocking of all, they drank poison, ethanol, and called it socializing. "What kind of species does this?" Mora asked. Vextar was about to respond when the ground beneath Miho's dwelling began to shake. The structure collapsed partially. Without hesitation, Miho ran toward the falling building. Another human was trapped inside, screaming for help. Miho's hands bled as he pulled away debris. His body shook from exhaustion. But he did not stop. He pulled the other human free and carried him to safety. Then Miho sat down in the dirt, his bleeding hands shaking, and cried. Vextar paused the recording. For a long moment he simply stared at the screen. "They are predators from a world designed to kill them," he said quietly. "But they cry for each other. They save each other." He began writing his report to the Galactic Council, his fingers trembling as he typed the words that would change everything. "We have found something impossible. Intelligent life from a death world. Recommend extreme caution. We do not know what they are capable of." The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Vextar's report finished playing. 300 representatives from across known space stared at the holographic images of Earth in disbelief. Council leader Thonrex, a being whose species had known peace for 10,000 years, spoke first. "This cannot be real. Life does not evolve intelligence on death worlds. It is impossible." "I saw it with my own eyes," Vextar replied firmly. "We must study them further. We must understand how they survived." The Council approved a covert observation mission. For 6 months, Vextar and his expanded team watched humanity from orbit. What they discovered horrified them more each day. A human female named Nari was their primary subject. She lived in a large city where millions of humans gathered despite the danger. Vextar watched her daily routine with growing unease. Each morning, Nari left her dwelling and ran. Not to escape danger. Not to hunt. She ran for pleasure. Her body temperature rose to levels that would cause organ failure in most species. Sweat poured from her skin as a cooling mechanism. She ran for 1 full hour, then returned home as if this torture was normal. Why does she hurt herself? Mora asked, confused. She calls it exercise, Vextar said, reading the translated data. Humans deliberately stress their bodies to make them stronger. They evolved to outlast their prey through persistence hunting. They can run for days without stopping. Later that day they watched Nari eat her midday meal. She consumed something called kimchi, vegetables fermented with bacteria. Then she ate meat seasoned with red powder that registered as a chemical weapon on their sensors. That is capsaicin, Vextar noted, his voice strained. A compound designed by plants to cause pain and prevent consumption. She is eating it for enjoyment. Mora shook her head in disbelief. Their pain receptors must be broken. No, Vextar said quietly. They feel the pain. They simply choose to endure it. The observations grew stranger. They documented human children playing games where they threw balls at each other's heads. They watched humans jump from flying aircraft with only fabric parachutes for safety. They recorded humans diving deep into oceans where pressure alone would crush most species. But the medical data was most disturbing. Dr. Kren, the team's xenobiologist, studied human cellular samples obtained from discarded materials. His findings made the entire crew uncomfortable. Their immune systems are hyper-aggressive, Kren explained during a briefing. When foreign organisms enter their bodies, their immune response is so violent it often causes more damage than the infection itself. They call this fever and they consider it normal. What about their healing? Vextar asked. Remarkable. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. Lost blood regenerates. Broken bones fuse back together. Damaged tissue repairs itself. They even survive losing entire organs. I found records of humans living 50 years after having parts of their brains removed. Mora looked ill. They are living weapons. The team's psychiatrist, a gentle being named Lyra, presented the most troubling findings. Humans bond with anything, she said, showing footage of Nari with her pet. This animal is genetically a wolf, an apex predator. Humans domesticated them 15,000 years ago. They now keep them as family members. The screen showed more images. Humans bonding with cats, small predators with retractable claws. Humans caring for birds, reptiles, even insects. One human had befriended a large bear and fed it regularly. They pack bond with species that could kill them, Lyra continued. This behavior extends beyond animals. They form emotional attachments to robots, vehicles, even inanimate objects. They name their spacecraft. They apologize to furniture when they bump into it. Vextar watched footage of a human male named Tejo teaching his young daughter to swim. The child was afraid of the water. Tejo held her gently, encouraging her with soft words until she relaxed. When she finally swam on her own, Tejo's eyes filled with tears of joy. They are capable of extreme violence, Vextar said slowly. Yet they cry when their children succeed at small tasks. They eat poison for fun, but they sing lullabies to help each other sleep. They are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, and the most compassionate. Mora looked at him. What do we do? We wait, Vextar said. And we hope they never discover space travel. 3 weeks later, human radio transmissions revealed they had already sent machines to their neighboring planets. It was too late. The emergency alert screamed through the Galactic Council's communication network. A civilian transport convoy carrying 2,000 beings from 12 different species was under attack near the edges of explored space. The attackers were the Karvesh Raiders, a pirate fleet known for taking no prisoners. Council Defense Commander Plex Orn deployed 3 military vessels immediately. Standard protocol. The ships arrived within hours, weapons charged and ready to negotiate or fight. The Karvesh destroyed all 3 vessels in less than 10 minutes. They are too aggressive, Plex Orn reported to the Council, his voice shaking. Our ships cannot match their tactics. They fight with no regard for their own safety. The convoy will be slaughtered within 2 days. Thon Rex, the council leader, looked around the chamber desperately. Every representative knew the truth. Their military forces had evolved from peaceful species. They fought defensively, cautiously. The Karvesh fought like cornered animals. Vextar stood slowly from his observer seat. There is one option. It is dangerous, but it may be our only choice. Speak, Thonrex commanded. Contact Earth. Ask the humans for help. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. 300 species argued at once. Finally, Thonrex raised his hand for silence. They have barely discovered faster-than-light travel. Their weapons are primitive. What can they possibly do that we cannot? Vextar looked at the council leader directly. They come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They learned to fight or die. The Karvesh are aggressive, yes. But humans evolved from predators who hunted prey to exhaustion. They understand violence in ways we never will. The vote was close. But desperation won. 24 hours later, the human vessel Indomitable entered the combat zone. It was smaller than council warships, built with crude metals and simple weapons. Commander Tajin's face appeared on the communication screen, his forward-facing eyes scanning the tactical display. We read the situation, Tajin said calmly. 37 Karvesh vessels surrounding the civilian convoy. Your orders are to hold distance and observe. We lost 3 ships already, Plexorn admitted. We do not know how you can succeed where we failed. Tajin's expression did not change. We do what we do best. We adapt. The Indomitable accelerated directly toward the Karvesh fleet. The council observers watched in horror as the human ship ignored all defensive protocols. The Karvesh opened fire immediately. But the human vessel moved differently. It rolled, dove, and weaved through incoming fire with movements that seemed impossible. Council ships fought at distance, relying on shields and coordinated formations. The humans fought like they were in physical combat, closing distance rapidly. What are they doing? Mora gasped. They are hunting, Vextar said quietly. The Indomitable fired weapons, primitive projectile cannons, but aimed them with terrifying precision. 3 Karvesh ships lost their engine systems in seconds. Before the pirates could respond, the human vessel did something no council ship would ever attempt. It rammed directly into a Karvesh frigate. Both ships' hulls tore open. Emergency alerts screamed across all channels. Then the council observers saw movement in the darkness of space. Figures in armored suits crossed from the Indomitable into the Karvesh vessel. They are boarding, Plexorn whispered. They are fighting inside the enemy ship. Corporal Jaiwan led the Marine squad through the breached hull. Her helmet camera transmitted everything back to the council ships. The footage made every observer feel sick. Humans fought in close quarters. Hand-to-hand combat. The Karvesh were larger, stronger, with natural armor plating. But the humans moved with practiced efficiency. They used the Karvesh's own environment against them, venting atmosphere in sealed sections, using the ship's gravity generators to disorient their enemies. Within 30 minutes, Jaiwan's squad had captured the Karvesh command center. The pirate captain, a massive creature with 4 arms and thick scales, stared at the small human female in disbelief. You are tiny, the Karvesh captain growled. How did you win? Jaiwan removed her helmet, revealing a face covered in sweat and a small cut above her eye. She looked at the pirate captain with calm, forward-facing predator eyes. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day, she said simply. You are not as scary as home. The remaining Karvesh vessels saw their flagship captured and surrendered immediately. Humans began boarding each vessel, securing the pirates. Council observers watched something that confused them deeply. Human medics treated wounded Karvesh fighters. They bandaged injuries. They gave them water. One medic, a male named Sung, carefully set a broken limb on a Karvesh warrior who had tried to kill him minutes earlier. Why are they helping them? Mora asked. Vextar watched Sung work, his understanding of humans deepening. Because they can be violent when necessary, but they choose mercy when possible. They are not monsters. They are survivors who learned both how to kill and how to forgive. The civilian convoy was saved. Not a single civilian died. The council chamber received the report in stunned silence. Humanity had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. 6 months after the Karvesh incident, Earth received an official invitation. Humanity was offered probationary membership in the Galactic Council. The vote had been difficult, with many species voting against it out of fear. But the civilian convoy survivors had spoken loudly in favor, and their voices carried weight. The first human diplomatic station opened on Council Prime, the central hub of galactic civilization. Ambassador Yunji arrived with a delegation of 50 humans, ready to represent Earth among the stars. Vextar met her at the landing platform, his 4 eyes studying her carefully. She was small compared to most galactic species, her body unarmored and vulnerable. Yet she walked with quiet confidence that made larger beings step aside. "Welcome to Council Prime," Vextar said through his translator. "I hope your stay will be comfortable." Yunji smiled warmly. "Thank you. We are honored to be here. Earth has dreamed of this moment for generations." The cultural exchange began immediately, and problems started just as fast. The Galactic Food Court banned human cuisine after 3 incidents. A Thessaran diplomat tried kimchi and required medical attention for 4 hours. Another species attempted what humans called hot wings, and their translator spoke the phrase "mouth is dying" 17 times. Coffee, a mild stimulant for humans, sent a Vrillian ambassador into a hyperactive state that lasted 3 days. Warning labels appeared on every human food station. Deathworld cuisine, consume at own risk. Entertainment caused even bigger problems. Humans opened a cultural center to share Earth's art and media. The first movie screening ended in disaster. Yunji had carefully selected a film she thought would be appropriate, a simple story about a family. The movie was called A Quiet Place. Within 20 minutes, half the alien audience had fled the theater. 2 species filed formal complaints about psychological trauma. Why do humans create entertainment designed to frighten them? Thonrex asked Yunji during an emergency meeting. "We enjoy testing our fear responses in safe environments," Yunji explained. "It helps us prepare for real danger." "Your species considers fear to be entertainment," Thonrex said slowly. "This explains much about humanity. But not everything was conflict. Humans began taking jobs across the galaxy, and they excelled in places no one else wanted to work. A human named Doyen became famous for mining asteroids near unstable stars. The radiation levels would kill most species within hours, but Doyen worked 12-hour shifts and called it peaceful. Human engineers volunteered to repair damaged stations in dangerous debris fields. Human pilots flew rescue missions through spatial anomalies that terrified everyone else. Within 3 months, 17 species had hired human security consultants. Humans trained alien security forces in tactical thinking and threat assessment. A human female named Sora became the bodyguard for a council member and was featured in every major galactic news outlet. "The Deathworlders are taking our jobs," some aliens complained. But others saw opportunity. Mora, Vextar's assistant, had become friends with a human technician named Juno. She watched him work on a damaged power relay that required entering a radiation-flooded compartment. "Doesn't that hurt you?" she asked. Juno shrugged. "A little. I will get a scan later to make sure I am okay. But someone needs to fix this and I can tolerate it better than you." "Why do you accept pain so easily?" "Because on Earth, everything involves some pain," Juno said simply. "We learn to work through it. Pain just means we are still alive." Not everyone appreciated human integration. A political movement called the Hierarchy began gaining power in the outer regions. They represented 12 species who believed the galaxy should be ruled by strength and military power. They saw humanity's success as a threat. Their leader, High Commander Vecthaz, gave speeches across controlled space. "These Deathworlders are dangerous," he proclaimed. "They fight without fear. They bond with predators. They drink poison and call it celebration. They cannot be trusted. They will eventually turn their violence against us all." Support for the Hierarchy grew. 30 systems joined their alliance within 2 months. They began building military forces in secret, preparing for something the peaceful council species refused to see coming. Yunji received intelligence reports about Hierarchy movements and brought them to Vextar privately. "They are preparing to attack," she said, showing him data. "The council needs to prepare defenses." Vextar looked at the small human ambassador with sad eyes. "The council has not fought a real war in 5,000 years. We do not know how." "Then you should let us help," Yunji said quietly. "Because if the Hierarchy attacks, your peaceful ships will not be enough." Vextar knew she was right. But he also knew that accepting human military aid would change the galaxy forever. Once humanity showed its full strength, there would be no going back. The question was not if the Hierarchy would attack. The question was whether the Council would accept help from Deathworld warriors before it was too late. In the outer regions, Hierarchy fleets gathered in the darkness, preparing to strike at the heart of galactic civilization. Time was running out. The Hierarchy's attack came without warning at dawn on Council Prime. 50 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and opened fire on the orbital defense platforms. Alarms screamed across the planet as civilians ran for shelters. Commander Plexorn deployed every available council vessel, but within 2 hours the situation was desperate. The hierarchy fought with brutal efficiency, targeting civilian centers and medical stations. Council ships, designed for defense and negotiation, fell one after another. "We are losing," Plexorn reported to Thonrex, his voice breaking. "We cannot stop them. They fight like animals." In the human diplomatic quarter, Ambassador Yunji gathered her staff quickly. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them we need everyone. Now." "Everyone?" her aide asked, confused. "Every ship. Every soldier. Every human who can fight." Yunji's expression hardened. "And tell them to find the others." "Others?" "The other Deathworld species. It is time they joined us." 72 hours later, the hierarchy fleet had surrounded Council Prime completely. High Commander Vec thus prepared his final assault, confident in his overwhelming victory. Then his sensors detected incoming vessels. Hundreds of them. The human fleet arrived first. Not just military vessels but civilian ships retrofitted with weapons. Mining haulers. Transport freighters. Even pleasure craft modified for combat. Behind them came something that made Vec thus pause. A fleet of massive vessels with armor like tank plating. The Vraxi had arrived, tiger-like beings from a high-gravity world where simply standing upright required incredible strength. Their ships were built to withstand pressures that would crush normal vessels. And beside them, sleek submarines modified for space travel. The Keth, aquatic beings from a world of crushing ocean depths and volcanic darkness. They navigated through spatial debris fields like fish through coral reefs. "What is this?" Vec thus demanded, staring at his tactical display. His communications officer's voice trembled. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission. It is labeled Deathworld Alliance." A human face appeared on screen. Admiral Hyun-woo, commander of Earth's expeditionary fleet. Behind him stood representatives from the Vraxi and Keth. "High Commander Vectas," Hyun-woo said calmly. "You have attacked our friends. You have threatened civilians. You have one chance to surrender peacefully." Vectas laughed. "You cannot threaten me with your primitive vessels, human. We outnumber you 3-1. "Numbers are not everything," Hyun-woo replied. "You are about to learn why predators hunt in packs." The hierarchy fleet opened fire. What happened next became legendary across the galaxy. The human vessels scattered in seemingly random patterns, but Vextar, watching from the surface, recognized the strategy immediately. They were not retreating. They were surrounding the hierarchy fleet like wolves circling prey. The Vraxi ships charged directly through hierarchy formations, their heavy armor absorbing damage that would destroy normal vessels. They rammed enemy ships, using their incredible structural strength as a weapon. The Keth navigated through debris fields and weapon fire with impossible grace, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the enemy could respond. And the humans coordinated everything. They adapted to each moment, changing tactics faster than the hierarchy could counter. When hierarchy ships formed defensive clusters, humans sent boarding parties. When they spread out, the Vraxi crushed them individually. When they tried to flee, the Keth cut off escape routes. On Council Prime's surface, a young human soldier named Minji led Marines through damaged sectors, rescuing trapped civilians. She found a group of children from 6 different species huddled in a collapsed building. The structure was unstable, ready to fall completely. "I will get you out," Minji promised them, even though the building groaned dangerously above her head. A Thessaran child, no older than 5 in their years, looked at her with frightened eyes. "Are you scared?" Minji smiled gently. "Yes, but being scared does not mean we give up. It means we care enough to be brave." She carried each child out personally, making 3 trips into the collapsing structure. On the final trip, the ceiling began to fall. A Vraxi soldier named Krekthar, built like a living tank, held the debris up with his bare hands while Minji escaped with the last child. "Go!" Krekthar roared, his muscles straining. "I can hold it." Minji ran, and the moment she cleared the doorway, Krekthar released the debris and rolled out behind her. They both lay in the street, breathing heavily. "Deathworlders?" Krekthar growled with what might have been a laugh. "We are all crazy." "Probably," Minji agreed, grinning. In orbit, the tide had turned completely. High Commander Vectas watched his fleet crumble. His superior numbers meant nothing against species who had evolved to survive impossible odds. "Sir, we must retreat," his officer begged. Vectas stared at the screen where human, Vraxi, and Keth vessels fought in perfect coordination. These Deathworld species, dismissed as primitive by the hierarchy, had defeated his entire fleet. "Send surrender terms," Vectas said quietly. Admiral Hyenwa's face appeared again. "You attacked civilians. Give me one reason why we should accept your surrender. Vectas had no answer. Because, came a new voice, Ambassador Yunji speaking from the surface. Mercy is what separates civilization from chaos. We will accept your surrender, treat your wounded, and give you fair trials. Because that is what we choose to be. The hierarchy fleet powered down its weapons. The battle was over. 3 months later, Council Prime had been rebuilt. The Galactic Council, forever changed, stood in the Great Chamber. Humans, Vraxi, and Keth now held permanent seats as full members. They called themselves the Deathworld Defense Initiative, guardians forged in the cruelest environments evolution could create. Vextar stood with Yunji overlooking the city. Human children played with Thessaran younglings in the parks below. A Vraxi instructor taught Council security forces combat tactics with patience and care. Keth engineers helped design new defensive systems. We feared you, Vextar admitted. We thought Deathworlders would destroy everything. Yunji smiled. We learned something on our harsh worlds that peaceful species forgot. Survival requires both strength and compassion, violence and mercy, the ability to fight and the wisdom to choose peace. A small Thessaran child ran up to them, chasing a ball. A human child and a Vraxi cub ran behind her, all laughing together. The Thessaran child stumbled, and the human child helped her up without hesitation. Earth sent its deadliest creatures into the stars, Vextar said softly, watching the children play. And they brought their humanity with them. Yunji nodded. We survived Deathworlds by learning one lesson above all others. Together we are stronger than alone. The sun set over Council Prime, casting light across a galaxy that would never be the same. The age of Deathworld Alliance had begun.